You ready? All right. Yep. Microphone's on. Good evening. Today is Monday, June 16, 2025. I call to order a special meeting of the Brockton City Council. Will everyone please rise and join me in honoring our country by saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, agenda item number 1, please.
Item 1, we have the call of the meeting.
Accepted and placed on file.
Item 2, we have the officer's return of notice.
Accepted and placed on file.
You have the matters to be acted upon. Communications from the Treasurer-Collector requesting the following transfer of $370,000. These transfers are necessary to cover the expected shortfall through the remainder of the fiscal year.
Accepted and placed on file.
From the Mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
From the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
We have a communication from the Police Chief requesting that $170,000 be transferred from police full-time salaries to Police Department vehicles for the purchase of 10 Police Department vehicles.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the Mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the transfer of $305,000. This transfer will fully fund the Law Department for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
Communication from the Mayor in accordance with the general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, Section 32, recommending that the City Council adopt the fiscal FY26 budget for the city as recommended in the attached budget order. Recommended total appropriations in the amount of $555,896,078.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and filed.
And the orders are that the following name sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the Mayor as follows. Transfer of $370,000 from Treasurer's Debt Service to Treasurer's Medicare Tax.
Accepted and filed.
We have an order that the following name sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the Mayor as follows. Transfer of $170,000 excuse me, from Police Personal Services non-OT to Police Capital Vehicles.
Accepted and placed on file.
An order that the following name sum be and the same...
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President,
Councilor Farwell.
if this is the appropriate time, I would like to move that we suspend the rules and act on the issue of the police services non-OT in the amount of $170,000 so that the purchase of those cruisers can go forward. So I move that we suspend the rules and act on that this evening.
Second.
Is this the...
Yeah, we are in the order.
In the orders? Motion has been made to suspend the rules and act on, what's this, agenda item number 14 tonight. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Attorney Dr. Clarkson is here if anybody has any questions.
Councilors, any questions?
Other than that, question comes on adoption.
Question comes on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin? Lally?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
6 in the affirmative.
The order is adopted.
I move reconsideration in the hope it does not prevail.
Second.
Motion is made for reconsideration in the hopes it does not prevail. All in favor? Oh, sorry. All opposed? Reconsideration fails.
Item 15, ordered that the following name sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the Mayor as follows. Transfer of $305,000 from DPW Highway Purchase of Service to Law Workers' Compensation, $255,000, to Law Court Judgments, $50,000.
Mr. Clerk, on my agenda, it's stating that I'm accepting and placed on file, but these are orders, so are these being referred?
Yes, because they're going to council next, no finance.
Okay.
They stay in council, so they're just accepted and placed on file.
Understood.
To be heard at the regular meeting next week.
Okay, so accepted, okay, understood. Thank you for that. Accepted and placed on file.
Now, these will be referred, all of the rest. Item 16, ordered, number 1, to move that $555,896,078 be appropriated for the following general fund departmental expenditures of the city for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2026, which will be funded through the following sources. State aid, $315,863,378. Tax levy, $186,166,635. Local receipts, $36,637,000. Available funds, $1,157,000. Stabilization funds, $1,500,000. Free cash, $6,465,839. Chapter 324 supplemental reserve, $8,106,226,000 for a total, $226, for a total of $555,896,078. 2, general government assessor, personal services overtime, $5,000. Personal services other than overtime, $621,967. Ordinary maintenance services, $322,150. Ordinary maintenance goods, $7,250. Auditor personal services overtime, $5,000. Personal services other than overtime, $973,449. Ordinary maintenance services, $272,750. Ordinary maintenance goods, $18,500. Auditor mail, ordinary maintenance services, $275,500. Auditor's telephone, ordinary maintenance services, $77,000. City clerk, personal services overtime, $7,500. Personal services other than overtime, $347,608. Ordinary maintenance services, $29,500. Ordinary maintenance goods, $12,300. City council, personal services overtime, $15,000. Personal services other than overtime, $911,685. Ordinary maintenance services, $56,500. Ordinary maintenance goods, $47,750. Conservation Commission, personal services overtime, $5,500. Personal services other than overtime, $20,000. Ordinary maintenance services, $850. Ordinary maintenance goods, $3,200. Election Commission, personal services overtime, $5,000. Personal services other than overtime, $495,716. Ordinary maintenance services, $66,400. Ordinary maintenance goods, $4,585. Finance, personal services overtime, $500. Personal services other than overtime, $905,817. Ordinary maintenance services, $208,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $32,720. Human resources, personal services overtime, $2,000. Personal services other than overtime, $498,791. Ordinary maintenance services, $181,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $25,000. Human resources employee benefits, personal services other than overtime, $69,813,026. Information Technology Center, personal services overtime, $50,000. Personal services other than overtime, $1,494,814. Ordinary maintenance services, $2,183,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $511,100. Law, personal services overtime, $1,000. Personal services other than overtime, $1,156,991. Ordinary maintenance services, $390,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $414,864. Court judgments, $1,500,000. Workers' compensation, $1,240,183. Property insurance, $2,300,000. License, personal services overtime, $10,950. Personal services other than overtime, $111,934. Ordinary maintenance services, $1,600. Ordinary maintenance goods, $1,750. Mayor, personal services overtime, $3,000. Mayor services other than overtime, $1,018,228. Ordinary maintenance services, $299,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $50,774. 40-hour activities, $11,041. Cultural affairs, $15,000. Cable access, $675,000. Women's Commission, $1,500. Diversity Commission, $1,500. Historical Commission, $1,500. Youth Task Force, $100,000. Planning and Economic Development, personal services overtime, $3,000. Personal services other than overtime, $600,490. Ordinary maintenance services, $236,600. Ordinary maintenance goods, $9,950. Planning Board, personal services overtime, $5,000. Personal services other than overtime, $19,500. Ordinary maintenance services, $3,500. Ordinary maintenance goods, $1,300. Procurement Department, personal services other than overtime, $187,038. Ordinary maintenance services, $525. Ordinary maintenance goods, $9,450. Public property, personal services overtime, $200,000. Personal services other than overtime, $3,307,255. Ordinary maintenance services, $399,350. Ordinary maintenance goods, $173,600. Personal public property stadium ordinary maintenance services, $102,500. Public property stadium ordinary maintenance goods, $30,000. Treasurer tax collector personal services overtime, $3,000. Personal services other than overtime, $1,009,266. Ordinary maintenance services, $23,500. Ordinary maintenance goods, $25,470. Medicare tax, $4,260,041. Public Safety Emergency Management Agency, personal services other than overtime, $109,235. Ordinary maintenance services, $6,300. Ordinary maintenance goods, $5,850. Fire, personal services overtime, $408,000. Personal services other than overtime, $34,201,462. Ordinary maintenance services, $1,068,571. Ordinary maintenance goods, $513,080. Personal services fire staffing overtime, $1 million. Principal and interest on long-term debt, $299,750. Police personal services overtime, $1,800,841. Personal services other than overtime, $32,108,264. Ordinary maintenance services, $880,138. Ordinary maintenance goods, $617,818. Police Animal Control Division, personal services overtime, $25,000. Personal services other than overtime, $783,973. Ordinary maintenance services, $42,595. Ordinary maintenance goods, $19,095. Police Public Safety Division, ordinary maintenance services, $291,241. Ordinary maintenance goods, $4,000. Traffic Commission, personal services overtime, $50,000. Personal services other than overtime, $8,000. Ordinary maintenance services, $129,822. Ordinary maintenance goods, $268,000. Department of Public Works, DPW Commissioner, personal services, excuse me, overtime, $2,057. Personal services other than overtime, $514,322. Ordinary maintenance services, $1,550. Ordinary maintenance goods, $5,244. DPW engineering, personal services overtime, $10,000. Personal services other than overtime, $232,727. Ordinary maintenance services, $12,600. Ordinary maintenance goods, $13,487. DPW highway, personal services overtime, $338,092. Personal services other than overtime, $2,331,686. Ordinary maintenance services, $2,972,100. Ordinary maintenance goods, $1,003,200. DPW maintenance, personal services overtime, $22,000. Personal services other than overtime, $263,311. Ordinary maintenance services, $20,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $509,260. Human Services, Board of Health, personal services overtime, $3,000. Personal services other than overtime, $749,716. Ordinary maintenance services, $27,250. Ordinary maintenance goods, $32,500. Cemetery, personal services overtime, $110,000. Personal services other than overtime, $415,965. Ordinary maintenance services, $116,500. Ordinary maintenance goods, $72,000. Council on Aging, personal services overtime, $1,000. Personal services other than overtime, $351,426. Ordinary maintenance services, $27,000. Ordinary maintenance goods, $17,950. Veterans Council, Vet Council Goods and Supplies, $16,000. Veteran Services, Personal Services Overtime, $2,000. Personal Services other than overtime, $320,023. Ordinary Maintenance Services, $13,000. Ordinary Maintenance Goods, $619,500. Culture and Recreation, Library Personal Services Overtime, $26,000. Personal Services other than overtime, $2,322,784. Ordinary Maintenance Services, $427,450. Ordinary Maintenance Goods, $358,575. Treasurer's Debt Service, Pension Obligation Debt Service, $20,833,280. Treasurer's Debt Service, $21,103,757. Pension Retirement Contributory, $8,634,133. Non-contributory, $17,562. Net and non-net school spending. Net school spending, $251,570,700. Non-net school spending, $17 million. Education Collaborative Program, Southeastern Regional School, $5,386,307. General Fund Subsidies. Parks and Recreation General Fund Subsidy, $775,000. Total General Fund amounts to be raised for overlay, $1,106,660. Government Assessments, $40,116,791. For a grand total General Fund budget, $555,896,078.
Refer to Finance.
Order number 2, move that $622,415 be appropriated for the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, that $75,000 be included in appropriations to the General Fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Stormwater Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $697,415 be raised as follows. User charges, $700,000. Stormwater Personal Services other than overtime, $220,415. Purchase of services, $370,000. Goods and supplies, $32,000. Direct costs, $622,415. Indirect costs, $75,000, for a total of $697,415.
Refer to Finance.
Word 3, move the $22,665,313 be appropriated for the Water Enterprise Fund, that $2 million be included in appropriations to the General Fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Water Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $24,665,313 be raised as follows. User charges, $21,200,000. Retained earnings, $3,465,314, for a total of $24,665,314. Water Personal Services Overtime, $705,254. Personal Services other than overtime, $2,700,530. Purchase of services, $5,954,850. Goods and supplies, $961,000. Debt service, $3,121,679. Other contracted services, $9,222,000. Direct costs, $22,665,313. Indirect costs, $2 million. Total of $24,665,313.
Refer to Finance.
Item ordered 4. Move that $21,585,410 be appropriated for the Sewer Enterprise Fund, that $1,500,000 be included in the appropriations from the General Fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Sewer Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $23,085,410 be raised as follows. User charges, $24 million. Retained earnings, 0, for a total of $24 million. Sewer Personal Services overtime, $352,550. Personal services other than overtime, $1,721,560. Excuse me. Purchase of services, $12,761,500. Goods and supplies, $587,500. Debt service, $6,162,300. Direct cost, $21,585,410. Indirect cost, $1,500,000, for a total of $23,085,410.
Refer to Finance. Madam Clerk, number 5.
Ordered. Move that the sum of $9,200,000 be appropriated for the Refuse Enterprise Fund, that $1 million be included in appropriations to the General Fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Refuse Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $10,200,000 be raised as follows. User charges, $10,200,000. Retained earnings, zeros. Total, $10,200,000. Personal services overtime, $172,236. Personal services other than overtime, $1,054,604. Purchase of services, $7,870,660. Goods and supplies, $102,500. Direct costs, $9,200,000. Indirect costs, $1 million. Total, $10,200,000.
Refer to Finance.
Order number 6, move that $2,629,250 be appropriated for the Parks and Recreation Enterprise Fund, and that $2,629,250 be raised as follows. Other department revenue, $1,700,000. User charges, $0. Retained earnings, $162,398. General fund subsidies, $775,000. For total, $2,637,398. Park and Recreation, personal services overtime, $250,000. Personal services other than overtime, $1,256,602. Purchase of services, $889,840. Goods and services, goods and supplies, $165,040. Other contracted services, $67,768. Direct costs, $2,629,250.
Refer to Finance.
Ordered. Number 7, move that $1,191,204 be appropriated for the Parking Authority Enterprise Fund, that $400,000 be included in appropriations from the General Fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Parking Authority Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $1,591,204 be raised as follows. Departmental revenue, $1,621,000. Parking Authority personal services overtime, $24,000. Personal services other than overtime, $781,354. Purchase of services, $335,400. Goods and supplies, $50,450. Direct costs, $1,191,204. Indirect costs, $400,000, for a total of $1,591,204.
Refer to Finance. Councilors, that's the end of our special agenda. We do have time for a councilor recognition if anybody has anything they'd like to say. Seeing none, I declare this meeting adjourned.